Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. This is your friend Ursi, and I'm still feeling into the triadic gathering when Linda Kubata Bird and Elizabeth Hartstar and I recently spoke about their upcoming Sedona Red Door retreat. It's pretty auspicious this time when July 7th, 2025 comes around, that the outer planet Uranus will move into Gemini. So for those of you new to astrology, when a planet, especially an outer planet, which affects the whole collective, moves into a new sign, it's rather auspicious. So Uranus moves into a new sign every 7 years. What makes 2025 so interesting, though, is that just about all of the outer planets have changed signs. And so the rebel, the Great Awakener Uranus on July 7th, 2025, will move into 0 degrees, 0 minutes of Gemini, moving us out of the Taurian Uranus experience. Okay. So we're going to go from fixed Earth, Taurus, into the mutable air of Gemini. And Gemini represents the mental thinking, our communications, our conceptualization, our love of learning. It's the twins talking about all things and the wonder of it all. But it's this idea of the two forming a communicative back and forth. Some say the sign of Gemini is the jack of all trades and master of none, because there's such a delight in the learning, especially the early learning. We're not talking PhD level, that's Sagittarius. But Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury or Hermes. And so Mercury brings this energy of being able to go into all the realms to chit chat and chatter. They can go, Mercury's one of the few beings that can go up into the celestial heavens of Mount Olympus and into the very inner earth of Hades. There aren't, again, too many beings who have access to all of the realms of experience. So we look at Uranus, the Great Awakener, this outer planet, moving into the sign of Gemini. I put together a little bit more of a slideshow for you as we try and parse out and understand, well, what does it mean to me? I can see the chaos and the change, the turbulence happening in the outer world, but what does it mean to me and how do I navigate going forward? For me, this idea of the Great Awakener, Uranus is the ruler of the sign of Aquarius, and that typically represents the 11th house. Uranus and Aquarius are more fixed air. So we're having fixed air move together with Gemini, mutable air. It's this, let's talk about it. How do we conceptualize or think about how to create, let's say, the new Earth? What would that look like? Chitter, chatter, chitter, chatter. So, but the dream comes in, the imagination comes in, the childlike wonder of imagination comes in with Gemini and Uranus. So here I have a slide that I wanted to remind myself and perhaps you that the year 2025, this is the Chinese New Year or the Asian New Year, that ties to the moon, not the Gregorian calendar that is more solar based. So this year of 2025 is the year of the wood snake. So we knew this year was going to include and embrace profound transformation, the snake needing to shed its skin to change so that it could grow. We knew this year the snake was going to bring in the element of wood, wood represented by the tree, whose roots go deep, deep, deep down into Mother Gaia, and whose branches basically open and celebrate all the stars in the heavens, keeping watch at night with that celestial starlight. So it's profound when you remember this is embracing the year of the snake, big changes. And again, interesting that so many of the outer planets have all been changing their signs, and here comes Uranus. So we want to thank the snake. We call in now the archetypes of the twins, and we call in Uranus. So what is the Great Awakener working with the chattering twins, which, again, early childhood learning, grade school, and I would even say middle school. Let's work together and talk about it. Do you remember how open you were perhaps as a child when you'd go to school? A lot more open than as we get older and we learn how to build walls around ourselves and find out if someone or something is safe or not safe. So by the time you get to my age, sometimes it's like your world of friends. Sometimes it goes from very broad to very specific. But in grade school, it was just this expansion, and imagination oftentimes was very much supported in the school that I was going to. Creativity, imagination, Gemini. All right, so here is an astro.com chart that I pulled when we were speaking with Linda and Elizabeth Hartstar. Elizabeth brought in the beautiful energy of Sedna, this dwarf planet that brings her light and grace and mythos into this moment when Uranus is changing signs. If you look at my cursor, you can see here's the glyph for Uranus. Here's the glyph for Taurus. And so Uranus is now on July 7th, 2025, moving right into the 0 degrees point of Gemini. All right, here's Sedna, and here's the beautiful energy of Venus. So we look here and we say, oh, they're combining their energies, forming a little stellium. So Uranus with Sedna, whom Elizabeth Hartstar calls out as the divine feminine. Remember, she's the Inuit goddess who father betrayed her. She was trying to climb back in the boat. Dad, save me. And he said, no, you have betrayed the family. He cuts off her fingers, pushes her back into the ocean, where her body then turns into the dolphins, the whales, and the sea creatures. So there's that archetypal story of pushed away by the patriarchy, the father, and bringing that Sedna energy of transformation, because then it turned into the life of the sea with Venus and the Great Awakener. And they're working right opposite the moon on this day. Okay, but not to be overlooked, we can see this gorgeous trine with Pluto. So if you go here, Uranus will trine the planet Pluto in Aquarius. Okay, so right here, and we see Pluto as the god of the underworld, big transformation, sex, death, rebirth. So today's focus, though, is on Uranus. I just wanted to show you what this chart looked like, and we hold the idea that the divine goddess energy working with the moon and Uranus is quite potent on July 7th. So please, if there's any time on your calendar to set for sacred meditation or just pausing for contemplation, it's going to be quite auspicious on this date. So if you're up at 7 a.m. on July 7th, 2025, let us know what happens, because it feels like the drums are beating. Then I created this star portal date for the 7th using Julia Balaz's calculator. As many of you know, I'm a certified practitioner within the Quantum Soul Guidance Galactic Astrology group. And here we see Uranus, 0 degrees, 0 minutes. Here's our beautiful Venus. Here's the sun in Cancer on July 7th. So the Cancerian light will be just broadcasting through our sun. Wanted to show you that. But then here's where it gets interesting. I put in the conjunctions for the stars in the heavens for this date, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about what I was seeing. So on July 7th, we're going to see the brightest star in the heavens called Sirius A. Sirius A, because there's a Sirius B and a C, but this is the brightest star in the heavens. And according to Bernadette Brady, Dr. Bernadette Brady, astrologer and researcher, she says, based on her work with the Egyptian mythos, that Sirius A represents the fire of immortality. So this fire of immortality metaphor, combining with the sun, our brightest star, shining up for Sedona, the 12th house. Interesting, working with Cancerian energy, the mother. But more important, when we look up here, we see Uranus, and wouldn't you know it, here's all these Pleiadian star sisters coming online to help support this very special day. When I was talking to Elizabeth and Linda, I was like, my God, the whole story of our galactic heritage that we learned through Lisa Royal Holt and her channeling of her future self and her channeling with Germaine, this collective consciousness who helped create her card deck. In this collective consciousness of Germaine is basically all of our integrated selves. In other words, higher selves forming a collective. So we see the Pleiadian star sisters coming in and working. So in the Pleiades, we understand this idea of love and light, the special 7 sisters working on the 7th of July, the 7th month. Okay, so quite auspicious. Electra, Pegeta, Maya, Alcyone, and Pleione. So Alcyone is oftentimes looked at as a star portal point. Oftentimes, if you think about like Grand Central Station, this is sometimes an intergalactic meeting place to come and then find your next spot. So that's a little bit of galactic spiel. But this idea of embracing our Pleiadian star mothers who help seed humanity, working with our Sirian star fathers. Okay, so it's just very interesting to me. Sirius A and the Pleiades are very strong on this date. But it starts getting even more interesting when you see that the Andromeda galaxy up here, the Andromeda galaxy will be right at the midheaven. Now, for those of you who've been studying the stars, you know that we live in the Milky Way galaxy, all right? But the Milky Way galaxy was birthed by the Andromeda galaxy. So this is our mother galaxy, Andromeda. It's not the constellation, it's the galaxy that goes light years beyond the local constellation of Andromeda. So the Andromeda galaxy, if you think about it, this is the milk that she gave for us to be in our Milky Way galaxy. And Andromeda and the Milky Way will eventually reunite, or the scientists say will collide at some future point. So it's the return to the mother. It's sitting at the midheaven, right? So it's broadcasting. And for me, it's sending out that beautiful violet light. The Andromedan energy is one of the highest frequencies that we are aware of from Earth. It's that high level, very high vibratory violet, red violet, blue violet. You can think of the sacred light of Saint Germain transmuting any discordant energies. But the Andromeda galaxy is showing up, I think, to help us remember there's another consciousness that we can move forward. So right now in 3D, we're working with duality and polarity. It's the yin and the yang. It's the dark meeting the light. And so this friction encourages expansion. Without the collision, there is no growth. We just kind of stay static. So the Andromeda Galaxy, again, according to Lisa Royal Holt, is this idea that beyond duality consciousness is definitely unity consciousness. And then there's the Andromeda consciousness, which is everything is in flow state. I have to learn to trust and surrender. And for those of you listening who have a very special connection to this galaxy, it's Vertex M31. Yeah, trusting, surrender. Everything changes all the time. Nothing stays the same. So eventually, this is where our evolution is moving us toward, to not just work with the singularity of here I am, me and my ego, singular, as Ursula. Instead, it's me working as a group, Andromeda Galaxy, a collective, but we're going to experience a flow state. And yeah, so it's not just about contact with specific, let's say, starseed families, but it's more about expanding into a new paradigm and a new way of thinking about yourself and experiencing the now moment, right? Andromeda consciousness. All right, so who else do we have here? We have Altair right next to and conjoining with Pluto. Remember I said there's this trine, Uranus moving into the 0 degrees point of Gemini is trining Pluto in Aquarius at 2 degrees of Aquarius with Altair. This sits in the constellation of the eagle, Aquila. And so Altair is saying leadership, take the higher view. Pam Gregory, stay on your eagle's perch. But it is about leadership and Pluto bringing us down, down, down into the earth, only to go back out to perhaps and like a toroidal field, coming out to see the broader expanse. Feel like it's calling in those who are the pioneers, the ones that go ahead, the imaginal cells that show up first. So if you have this call to leadership through Aquarius and Pluto, going deep down into the earth and then bringing us into the new age, the new dream. Let's see. Oh, we also have Antares, which is working. This is a royal star, Antares, sitting in the constellation of Scorpius. So when a royal star shows up, it's like one of the watchers, there's 4 of the whole heavens. And across from Antares, working with our beautiful moon, so it's 10 degrees, 7 minutes of Antares sitting in Sag, and then the moon is at 7 degrees, 59 minutes. So just about 8 degrees of Sag for the moon on July 7th. What does this say? Well, Antares works with the archangel Uriel. So Uriel is looking at the future. Uriel holds a strategy for and a blueprint for the possibilities of what could be next. Okay, and Bernadette Brady says, Antares also reminds us to beware the nemesis of getting too obsessed with looking ahead, what's going to happen, anxiety, obsession about the future that we don't or we forget to stay present in the moment. So all creation, all memory, all beingness is in the now moment. Thank you, Eckhart Tolle, for your great work and books on remembering the now. It's all now. So Antares working with our moon, and right across and opposite from Antares is always the beautiful star Aldebaran sitting in Taurus constellation, working with the right eye of the bull of Taurus. This is Archangel Michael coming in, working opposite the moon, holding arms with Antares. So you've got Aldebaran and Antares holding and watching to support this beautiful moment of July 7th, 2025. All right, so I have another side. There's other stars, but I know at some point we just have to move on. So this is what's called a Galactic Astrology Soul Connections Report. If you decide to get a reading, there's over 70 trained practitioners in the Quantum Soul Guidance Program. And again, in the description, I'll put a contact list. If you're interested in taking some of Julia Balaz's online classes, please feel free to use my affiliate link. Or if you just want to see what your free report might look like who are the star families engaging with me from the moment of my birth? Well, this is a star chart for July 7th. So it's an event, a moment of the birth of a moment. And so here we see the sun in Cancer in the 12th house, conjunct Sirius A that I spoke of. But here we see the orb, a 1 degree, 17 minutes. So if you imagine in the moment of Sedona, and then you go out into the heavens and you think, wow, only 1 degree, 17 seconds by conjunction. It's a really tight orb. But even tighter than that is this beautiful star in Lyra, which is an opposition to the Cancerian sun by 0 degrees, 1 minute. Look at that. So Vega and Lyra telling us the story of our heritage, the beginning of when consciousness first had a physical manifestation of some sort, energy and a type of physical matter. Not necessarily the full matter that we see in our Homo sapiens, in our human form today, but we say, according to what Lisa channeled through, that it all began in Lyra. Interesting, the shape of a harp to remind us that it really is all about vibration and music and staying in tune. All right, and the Vega energy is basically saying, this beautiful star is saying, you know what? All answers are within myself. Be still, and know that you are God, and you find the answers within yourself. So that's the sun. The north node on that moment of that day, July 7th, will be in Pisces in the 8th house. Interesting, right? The house of transformation for the north node. But here's this beautiful star, Capulus, sextiling the north node. And when I saw that and seeing 1, 2, 3, the 1 degree, 23 minutes, Capulus represents the hand of Perseus that holds the sword, the mighty sword that will cut the head of the Gorgon Medusa, will cut the cords, will slay the dragons or slay the thing that is not wanted. So Bernadette will say that Capulus gives us, it's that male assertive energy. And we can hold that. There is time where we need to assert, with our energy. Is it time for you on this date to actually say something, do something, be something, make that phone call? So we'll have that energy as a collective with the North Node sextiling Capulus. But on this day, there's so many, the Galactic Center, the Super Galactic Center, there's so many soul connections on this day. It's almost like all the super cosmic points, these massive black holes or these anomalies are just, it's a potent time. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but whatever is going to happen, so be it. And we can just say, okay, who's at the party? And so here's Uranus. Who's playing with Uranus? I've already mentioned the Pleiades and many of the sisters, but the fun one I would say is really looking at Alpha Centauri. And I was listening to JJ Hertak and his wife talk recently about Alpha Centauri. and it being the closest star to Earth. And I know that in starseed lore, Alpha Centauri has its way station and other portals or doorways that it comes and brings in other star nations. But when I read this working with Uranus and Gemini in the 10th house, metaphorically, it is carrying the priestly energy of the centaur who is bringing a gift to the altar. So it's not the drinking, rambunctious, out of control centaur, half man, half horse, half beast, but it is the one that is really wanting to make an offering. And so that's going to be working with Uranus, the Great Awakener. And it's carrying the vibration of the 12 because it's 0 degrees, 12 minutes in opposition to Uranus on that moment, 7 a.m. on 777. Interesting. I did talk with Elizabeth and Linda about Fiat in Pegasus. This is the star that is still holding the 0 degrees Aries point. You can see Fiat at 29 degrees, 43 minutes. It's so close to Aries, right? But eventually, as everything moves and shifts, we will get to the Aquarian age. It's just we're working with the Pegasus, the flying horse of Jupiter. And remember I said that we're in the year of this wood snake of transformation? Well, if you know the story of Pegasus, you have to include Medusa. So from the blood of Medusa sprang forth Pegasus. So we look at the most vile creature, snakes that would turn you to stone on the woman's head. And before she was so hideous, she was fair and beautiful, right? So her story, Medusa's story, is all about death and transformation. So we look at the star working with Uranus on this pivotal date, Fiat, at 0 degrees, 17 minutes in sextile. So bringing harmonious energy to this profound moment. Fiat, thank you, holding the 0 degrees Aries point for the collective, this winged horse. And I should say, they're saying to me, the winged horse of Jupiter. It's all about expansion and faith and leadership, right? So what is going to happen in expansion and awakening? Maybe there will be insights into how do we expand into this newer way of thinking about ourselves? That's what it feels like to me as I'm tuning into this energy. And then lastly, again, using Julia Blaz's calculator, you can see here's Lilith working with the Shapley attractor, right? So dark moon Lilith, and we have Chiron. Look at how many soul connections are working with Chiron. But the part of fortune in the 5th house of Sag conjunct the galactic center by 0 degrees, 30 minutes. That's a powerful point to work with our part of fortune. So this Arabic part represents where will we find our blessings on this date, on this most auspicious date? The blessings coming through the galactic center. This is something that if you ever wanted to get spiritual downloads, you hear about Ra Uru Hu having downloads in Ibiza to give us human design. You hear about Richard Rudd having spiritual downloads and bringing us gene keys, building on human design. If you want to sit in the energy of the part of fortune and receive the blessings, tune into the galactic center. And by just seeing this 0.30, to me, it feels like a triad. So you can call in 2 of your favorite starseed families. You can call in your cat and dog. You can call 2 of your friends to create a sacred trinity. This is a deep geometry that goes back to Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, or Divine Mother, Divine Father, Divine Child. Whatever the metaphors are, the triad working with the blessings of the day and the galactic center. Fascinating. Sextiling Shapley and squaring the supergalactic. I would just say potency and potential on this auspicious 7-7. And then I just had to bring in this beautiful picture. As you Google image and search for stars above and below, this one came forward. I'm forgetting exactly which star it is, but just the rings of what's coming. This is perhaps dust. The star is in the center, forming this golden orb. In fact, I'm hearing it doesn't matter the name of the star. It is the energy that wanted to come forward in this golden orange light, right? So for me, it feels like the Christos, the golden orb of Christ. And that is the cosmic love of Christ that I'm talking about, Christ consciousness. I'm going to stop sharing. Well, that's my ramble for today. Again, I just got so excited, and perhaps the Trinity or the triad that was created by Linda, Ursula, and Elizabeth just wanted to have this extra ripple. And as I look, I forgot I am wearing an Andara. It's an Andara crystal that I got from Peggy Black. She's one of the Andara keepers that can give you or sell you an Andara pendant. And I have a Gayatri mantra that I'm wearing as well. So this idea of triune, the Great Awakening, it's here. I know some people are saying it's this portal between 2025 and 2027. It's so here now when we sit and tell ourselves to tune in and tune out, and let's see what's going to happen. Really appreciate any and all of your comments. If something should come forward, if you get a download, whether it's poetry, music, inspiration to go create something with others, or something that will help benefit others in this new age that we're moving toward as new humans, and working and supporting Mother Earth as she makes her complete shift between 3D, 5D, and beyond. Okay, hope this helped lighten somebody up out there, and see you next time on the Ascension Playground. Bye for now.